Hey gang, Pastor Gerard here. I'd like to take a little time today to talk to you about the time that Moses was confronted by a burning bush. He had been in the desert for 40 years tending the sheep of his father-in-law, and all of a sudden this bush attracts his attention and he walks over to it and it begins to speak to him. And in Exodus chapter 4, verses 2 and 3, we see the Lord speaking from this bush and says to Moses, "What is that in your hand?" And he answers and says, "A rod." And then God says to him, "Cast it on the ground." So he cast it on the ground and it became a serpent, and Moses fled from it. It's interesting, God here is calling Moses to be the deliverer of the people of Israel. But one of the first things that Moses has to do is he has to get rid of something he'd been leaning on for 40 years. This was his staff. This was his tool of the trade, if you will, as a shepherd. And God's saying, don't lean on that anymore. Your dependencies, Moses, are going to shift from what you knew as a shepherd to walking with me, hearing my voice, and following me as the deliverer of Israel. So I guess our question for us is, what are we leaning on? Is it your spouse, your job, your social status, those around you? Or is it Jesus? Because if we can't answer the latter, then we're going to fall short. And God is not going to be able to do all the things in our lives that he seeks to do. So whatever it is you're leaning on today, cast it down for God's sake and let him use that as a testimony in your life, as he did with Moses, to then get his will done in your life. So we let go. That gives God all kinds of room to work. God bless you guys.